Nike is just about to release a pair of slides that could absolutely break the internet. This is the Nike React Rejuven8 slide. The amount of hype and anticipation for this pair of shoes is so high, we really need to figure out if people are gonna end up being disappointed or not. So a couple weeks ago, Nike released the Reactx Rejuven8 clog, and to my surprise, people went absolutely crazy for these. They completely sold out in a bunch of different colors and are actually reselling for over the retail price. From my point of view, before I got these in, I wasn't really expecting much when I saw this pair of shoes, considering Nike and Jordan Brand's track record of making not the most comfortable or even good looking slides and clogs. Most of those have been relatively underwhelming in terms of comfort and design. But after testing these things out myself, the hype was real. So, given how good these things were and how hyped up they are these really going to stack up? Are they just as good? Are they better? And how do they compare to other slides on the market? So first of all, let's go over how they compare to the clogs. And yes, there is more differences than just Nike chopping the top off. The first are price and release details. So these actually haven't fully released yet. They drop on April the 23rd for $60 or £55 if you're here in the UK. These, on the other hand, released a few weeks ago. Like I said, they're always kind of restocking them, but they retail for $70 or £65 if you're in the UK. Both of these come with the exact same material. That's what's in the name, Reactx. It's Nike's latest and one of their most premium cushionings that they have in a lot of their flagship running shoes, like the Pegasus 41, the Vomero 18, and even the Pegasus Premium. But unlike how the actual shoes just have a strip of it in the midsole, these things are completely made out of the stuff. So right underneath your feet and also above your feet. And it's really solid cushioning. As far as comparatively to other brands and what they offer, it finds a great balance of being soft and squishy without being unstable or something that just feels like marshmallows. Now, obviously, the design of these two is pretty much the same. They both have these lines or organic grooves that wrap around the entire shoe. Funnily enough, they called these things Rejuven8, which is named after the Air Rejuven8, the original one from 2008, which was actually also a recovery shoe. These just are obviously a little bit more geared towards the current style. You find the exact same Nike logo on both of them, where it's like this rubbery gel-like material that's actually glued into the side of the shoe. Obviously, the clogs have a much larger version of that. They shrunk it down for the slides. Both of these come with identical rubber traction patterns, which is glued onto the bottom. This actually adds a lot of durability to the pair of shoes and is quite rare to see in a foam clog or a foam pair of slides for that matter. A lot of the other ones on the market, like any of the Yeezy slides, foam runners, or Crocs, those don't have any outsole traction pattern. That leads them to wear down pretty quickly in comparison. So yeah, these are gonna last longer than your standard clog or slide. So for the most part, a lot more similarities between these two, but the single biggest difference between the clog and the slide is that surprisingly, the slide has a lot more cushioning than the clogs do. Like this midsole, the stuff that you're actually walking on, is decently thicker than what you find on the clogs. And honestly, I actually really like it. It's nice to have a decent amount of foam in a pair of slides underneath your feet, something that I guess traditional slides don't normally have. They usually keep it quite thin. Now, for sizing, I actually went with my true to size in both of these shoes and they fit me perfectly. If you're after either of these, I would recommend, just staying with your true to size. I will mention that the strap going over the top is a little bit tight, but that's kind of what you want with a pair of slides. You want something that's going to hold on to your foot so they don't feel like they're just going to slip off. Now, actually making a choice between the two of these, if you're looking at them to like buy one or the other, it's a little bit more subjective. Do you prefer clogs or do you prefer slides? Both of them are very comfortable and fit very well. And if it comes down to colorways, well, the slides will also come in a lot of the same really cool colorways that these do. I think the initial launch has a lot of brighter colors as well as the more muted palettes. I know I really liked the green, the blue, and the orange that these things came in, so hopefully further down the line we'll get some of those colors on these. But enough of this comparison. How do these stack up to other slides slides on the market. I've done a bunch of testing of all of the most popular slides out there. I think some of the top ones that I found were obviously the Yeezy slides. Hoka did a great job with theirs. Crocs also did a great job. Adidas obviously has the Adilettes. But I think due to the popularity of the Yeezy slide, that's probably what most people own and what most people are going to compare these to. So straight away, the Yeezy slides still have softer foam than these. It's actually pretty crazy that still to this day, I've never found a pair of slides with foam this soft. It seems like for some reason, Adidas has never really replicated that either. You thought that they would have, maybe they will in the future. Now, one drawback about this foam is that it turns out it's very grippy, or I guess sticky. Like when you're wearing socks with these, which most people do, and you try and jam your foot inside, it actually pulls the socks down. So it ends up being super tight around your toes or bunches up at the top over here. So it can end up being a little bit annoying. And the Nikes don't really feel as bad as the Yeezy slides in that regard. They do feel a little bit more smooth and silky. So when you put your foot in there, it doesn't really bunch up like the Yeezy slides do. Now the strap is also a little bit longer on the Yeezy slides, which is something that I always appreciated about them because it like helps keep your foot in the slide or the slide on your foot. The Nikes are still pretty long as far as a strap goes, and it does come down quite a way, but there is definitely a little bit more movement on these in comparison to the Yeezy slides. And I guess if we're talking about how well they stay on your foot when you're walking around, the weight of these is a little bit heavier than these, so I guess that plays into it a little bit more as well. It's not massive, but that's probably just because of the outsole that they put on here. It's like increased durability, but increased weight at the same time. Now, interestingly enough, you know, Yeezy slides have always kind of been known as the chunky, bulky slides. However, these are still thicker. Like just comparing the thickness of the footbed that you get on here, the Nikes, they're pretty chunky. And that's a sure King W right there. So I guess definitely expect that if you are looking to pick these up. So there's clearly a lot of pros and cons between the two. Softer, lighter foam, but then also increased risk of completely like smoothing this thing out, which I have done actually. They don't last that long. Increased durability, slightly heavier, and maybe a little bit less soft. Still both incredibly comfortable options. But where these two really separate and where the biggest difference is with the price and availability. Like these Yeezy slides aren't actually available anymore. So if you're someone literally deciding which one you're going to go with, you're pretty much limited to basically paying resale for this pair of shoes and buying it either from a reseller or a resale platform. And that means that you're going to be paying at least double the price for this pair than you would these $60 Nike slides. And if we're strictly basing all of this off of the comfort, it's pretty close. I would still maybe give the edge to the Yeezy slides just for that softer cushioned foam, but these Nikes are very, very comfortable. And with all things considered, I'd probably recommend these over these. Nike definitely made a really good pair of shoes with both of these. And I think it also just makes perfect sense why these are both so popular. I do think that the demand for, I guess, both of these, but mainly the slides, is only going to go up closer we get to summertime. But obviously, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section. If you tried either of these, which one do you prefer? The clogs, the slides? And if you want to check out another video, there's one right over there if you want to click that one.